Hi, and welcome to Pole Shift News. Guys, some people say to me, how do you manage to keep, your subscribers interested in the topic of Pole Shift News? It really is more than that, a lot more than the pole shift. If, there were in the future, an organisation that managed planets, I'm talking way in the future, they would know the importance of magnetic pole reversals. They would know the importance of magnetospheres, because if you was in the business of building planets that would sustain life, then the first thing that you would have to include in this building of these planets would be the magnetosphere, because without it all life simply would not exist. And when people first hear about the pole shift, they think that this is a regular occurring anomaly, and it's not. This is a rare event, and it's a major event. When our Earth goes through a magnetic reversal, the magnetosphere weakens to a point where, if it's prolonged, and kept at a very low level, then the risks are increased as that level goes down. It affects every biodiversity on the planet, and it will do. One of my worries about the magnetic pole reversal is that, this time it took 500,000 years longer than usual to do this. And I'm worrying that something has slowed down in the core of our planet that generates the magnetosphere. As wide stream science talks about the magneto that generates, these swirling currents inside the Earth. Well, it's all speculation and theoretical. We don't really understand what it is that's generating the magnetosphere. I've got my own opinion on this, and it's related to gravity. And I think it's just a charge that is set up, and that charge is proportionate to the surface area. It is also in turn what generates gravity, in my view. Again, gravity is another dark area in science. They can tell us what the force is, 9.8 meters per second, but they won't actually say this is a graviton. This is the particle that is responsible for creating gravity. What they say is that it's because of the Earth's mass. It naturally attracts something, but I think something else there. I like to put things in a way where I can, demonstrate them. And many years ago, if you remember, when I was talking about surface charge being proportionate to surface area. So, for instance, if you've got a large surface area, you can apply more surface charge on it. It will hold more charge because the surface area is larger. And that's what I describe as gravity. And I can also give a visual interpretation of gravity simply by, charging up an ordinary balloon, party balloon, on a woolen jumper, and then you see the old trick where someone sticks it to the wall and it stays there, or it sticks to the ceiling and it stays there. But it's much more than that, because for me, that charge that's applied to the balloon is very little, because the surface area of the balloon is very little. And it is also unique in the fact that when you apply a charge to a small surface area like that party balloon, it will attract two things that you can say mix up everything in our universe. And if we look at it in very simple terms, what I'm talking about is dielectric materials, things that are not conductives, and also conductive material such as tin foil and other metals. And the thing is, with the charge that's applied to that small party balloon, is it will not reject anything so long as it doesn't have a major mass to it. So, you could do this experiment yourselves if you wanted to, but the point is, there's a lot of things that are not widely understood about science. And, gravity is one of them, and the magnetic poles of the planet is another one. And I think, it is a massive topic, and I think people, like the 20,000 subscribers, have a little bit more understanding than the average person about how important the magnetosphere is, how important pole shifts are, and they understand that there is a lot more to, magnetic reversals when they take place, and what those implications are. So, we are right now already aware of some of the effects of the magnetic reversal, but I still believe there are some tricks up the sleeve, and we're about to witness what those are. And one of those is what I talk about with the rotational axis of the planet. If the rotational axis should alter as a result of the poles reversing and the Arctic leaving, the Arctic climate leaving the Arctic Circle, then we're going to see some major changes on our planet. And mainly, as you guys know, we're talking about the equatorial bulge of water oceans that is held in its position right now because of the rotational axis is where it is, and the centrifugal force of the Earth turning keeps that bulge in its place. So if the rotational axis should shift, then those oceans will move, and that will change the look of every continent on this planet, and likewise every map. And as a result of that also, there will be no GPS that we can rely on, because simply we don't have, like I was showing in that video the other day, we don't have ground-based signals that first relay their signal to the satellite and then in turn to the person using the sat navigation equipment. You see, by doing it that way, you get a fixed position in space. This could be applied actually in space. It would be very difficult to use GPS navigations out in space, because you wouldn't know which direction you was actually travelling with regards to the stars in the background. So you would have to put marker beacons everywhere you travelled, so that you could rely first of all on pinging a signal to that marker beacon, and then having it relayed back to you with regards to your position and your travelling velocity out in space. So magnetic reversals, going back to those, we've already seen some of the changes. We know when the magnetosphere weakens, more cosmic radiation comes in, and it's just bad luck for us that we are in a period of time where the solar cycles are dropping off over the last 3 consecutive cycles, and in turn the heliosphere shrinks and more cosmic radiation is inbound just for that sole fact, that the sun is in an all-time low condition and sunspots are limited at the moment. So we've got a compiling problem, and I'm trying to bring the awareness out of all this so that more people can understand that this isn't just an anomaly like a heavy rainfall or an earthquake or a volcanic eruption. It's much more than that. When the magnetosphere and the magnetic poles start to reverse and the magneto starts to weaken, it becomes a very, very serious issue that we are going to have to deal with. Like I said, it's not just human beings that will be affected by the pole shift. It will be every biodiversity on the planet. We're talking trees, shrubs, plants, insects, everything across the range that is alive gets affected as a result of the magnetosphere depleting. And that's why it's such a big issue, and that's what I try to bring out to people. Get this out, and the more time I spend doing that, then perhaps more people will understand the implications that we face on this planet at this very moment. Right now, when I say it's at our door, it couldn't be any closer. And giving some awareness out of that might encourage just a few people to take it that little bit further for their benefit of their family and themselves. And what I'm talking about is perhaps a little bit of preparation, and with that preparation, that they can probably not feel such dramatic, what's the word I'm looking for? They won't be, in the situation where we've seen before with, lesser effects, such as, the tsunamis, for instance, where people's houses were completely wiped away, their whole family members was taken away from them, and they wake up the next day with pretty much nothing left. So guys, if I can encourage you to stick around a little bit longer, maybe I can share my passion of science with you, and it could be rewarding. We could be, back in those days where Bill Gates was in his shed building that first computer for the first time, and at that point he probably didn't realise, how much that would change everybody's life the way it does today. And you might see me soldering these little things up in that spare room I've got back there, and wonder what possibilities could come from that. Well, I can just tell you one little thing, guys, if nothing else. Anti-gravity or gravidics does exist. I don't believe, now I know I'm going to get a lot of people disagree with me, I don't believe the world governments have come to the understanding of exactly how to achieve that, but I do know the technology exists to achieve it, and I can demonstrate the loss of an object's mass, and if that is possible, I know the method in which you take it to the next step to get that usable for everybody. But like I say, I know the technology exists today. It's using a similar technology as what they use for creating CPU chips in computers. The thousands of layers of tiny microscopic circuitry. It's using the layering technology that is used for the building of CPUs. So later on this year perhaps we'll look at a little bit more of what I'm talking about, and I'll present something to you guys, and I think you'll agree with me that this is the move forward in achieving that anti-gravitics or anti-gravity. Like I say, 50 years ago hardly any of us had TVs. Today we've got smartphones, and I think the next major leap forward which changes everybody's life will be anti-gravity, because if you can manipulate the mass of an object, you can also manipulate the energy associated with that object in the same way as kinetics or kinetic speed changes the mass of an object. Like for instance, a bullet travelling at 700 miles an hour, its mass is increased by its speed that it's travelling, and therefore it has more energy. So when it impacts something, that tiny little thing that is stationary in your palm of your hand, you could throw it at something and it wouldn't go through it. But you increase its speed, it increases its mass, so when it hits the object, it punches a hole straight through it. You change the energy potential of that object with the kinetic speed of it. And gravity is very similar to that. If you change the mass of an object, you change its energy relationship. And I think that that's where our free energy is going to come from in the future, not through trying to come up with these, and guys, I've built hundreds of these applications that people have claimed to generate free electricity. I've built them. I've built hydrogen generators and so many magnetic gate devices, even a Bashaka wheel. Remember that ancient wheel that was supposed to have ball bearings roll from one side, and it was the shape of it? You probably remember the video where I built the Bashaka wheel. Anyhow, I believe I've got a good foundation to understand what gravity is, and we can take it from there. The only problem is or at least I don't have that technology to create those very tiny layers. And if you're switched on and you knew what I was talking about, you'll know exactly where I'm going with this, because by layering tiny layers upon each other, you get to increase the surface area. So although this CPU might be only 2 inches by 2 inches in the palm of your hand, if you took out every little layer of circuitry within it, it'd probably be equal to about 10 square meters. So you're compacting surface area into a small area, and this is the technology, I believe, that leads us to the next step in anti-gravity. But we took a little bit of a deviation from what we was talking about, and I just wanted to say, guys, pole shift is a lot more important than what a lot of people first give it credit for, and it's only on the understanding of the implications that pole shift creates, such as cosmic radiation expanding, and creating more water in the atmosphere, and a lot of other potentials, such as altering the jet streams, and in turn they cause floods. Some people don't trace it all the way back to the cause of the problem, which in this case is, in my view, and I don't think I'm too far wrong, is related to the magnetic pole shift. And there's my magical CPU fan kicking off again. We have some audio problems, guys, which I've been trying to work out. Now, you're listening to me on the new mic, which is great. The mic is fantastic, but I have to keep the gain down on it so much that it doesn't keep picking up all the background noise. I mean, if I'm quiet now, and I've got good double glazed windows, you'll even hear the birds, believe it or not, with this mic. So we've created, we've fixed one problem with the audio. The audio is great, but we've created another one because of all the background noise. I think this studio mic would be better off in a studio, and that's just taking one extreme to the next. So maybe I think I need to get a different mic, or sort out this CPU fan, or just transfer all my stuff onto this other laptop that I've got, because it doesn't cool itself down in the same way as this one does. But it's just a shame, because I've got like tons and tons of work on this PC, and I use it a lot. So we're going to try and overcome this audio problem that we're suffering with at the moment. So yeah, guys, I've got to talk about this because it's fantastic. Look, we've had 111 people support us on Patreon. We've raised £735, and we started off just only going to apply that to 6 magnetometers. Now we're going to build 10 of them, and I was thinking of concentrating the others on the actual epicenters of where the high intensity is over the poles. And not only can we track the direction in which they're moving and how fast they're moving, I'm also thinking about overlaying this on a map so we can get some imagery similar to how Swarm produce their imagery based on their data. And I think graphics is a great way to show people and keep their interest in the topic, as opposed to just talking about it and showing them raw data and then occasionally a pin on the map. I think graphics is probably going to be the way forward, and that's what we're going to do. Guys, big thank you if you supported us on PayPal and the Patreon account. It's great. I still think, with the budget we've got, we're doing an amazing job. Faced with what we're going to be doing in the next month, I think we're doing a fantastic job. NASA or the European Space Agency could never compete with the level that we're on at the moment, simply for the fact, could you imagine, right? We want to build magnetometers, and we want magnetometers stationed over the Canada region, Siberia region, the Falklands region, and in Australia. First of all, they're going to have to call a conference with all the key people they need. So you can imagine the costs that are going up now. We've got directors of electronics and programming, and mission directors, and all of a sudden, not one single spanner or screwdriver has been lifted, and £3 million has been spent straight away. This is the way these organisations run. I know that they do have success with the missions, but it is very, very costly. So you compare that to our £735 budget and what we're achieving and what we've already achieved. We're just building that one, and then we'll replicate that one with another 9 magnetometers, and then we're going to have people put these in their home and relay the data back to us. So far we've done a marathon with such a little budget. So can you imagine, guys, if we can get that budget a little bit higher? If someone can become the 112th, the 113th, the 114th, very, very soon we'll have a bigger pot. And if we can do what we've done so far on $730, then can you imagine what we could do with a few more $1,000? We can do a lot more. So guys, it's Sunday. It's freezing cold in the UK at the moment. Again, another day at sub-zero temperatures. And I want to wish you all the best for the rest of your weekend. I hope you enjoy it, and you enjoy it with your loved ones and your family. And I'll just say this: the link's there for Patreon, the link's there for PayPal. if you want to support what we do at the Mavstar Observatory, you know, it's not mandatory, but it is great if a few more people, you know, get on board with us and support us, because, you know, who knows where we can take it. You know, I'm sure Bill Gates many years ago had no idea where he was going to go with the building of the very first computer in that shed. I'm not doing this to become a Bill Gates. I'm not interested in the money. I'm interested in, you know, science. I have a burning passion for science. I love it, and I love every aspect of science related anything. So, you know, I just want to share that passion with you guys. And, you know, I want to do a little bit more than talk about these things. I want to actually be a doer, a builder, you know, and someone that goes out there and collects data, brings it back and says, look, this is the facts based on the data we've collected, and there's nothing wrong with the method in which we've collected it, and this is the results that we've got. Now let's make some predictions. That's what I want to do. So guys, links are down there, and as always, bye for now.